Good evening, baseball fans, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Bullpen Bulletin here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tonight, we have a ton of baseball to get through. We've got several big pieces of news for the MLB in general, including an international series that has been nixed for 2026 and hearing media right deals that are coming up for the following season. We're going to take a look and see what's happening there. Also, of course, more injuries. Probably been the recurring theme of our entire season has been injuries. We're going to look at the good and the bad, as there is actually some good coming out this week with the playoffs around the corner. And of course, it is Tuesday evening, so of course we have every team is playing in the major league. So we're going to take a look at who is playing and the current results. We're of course going to have our who's hot and who's not. We're going to tie that in with our playoff race updates, because let's face it, if the Rockies are hot right now, I don't think many people really care. So we're going to take a look at the who's hot, who's not as it pertains to the playoff races and our upcoming series to watch. We'll have on this day in baseball history, as we have done, our minor league baseball spotlight to watch down the stretch. Who's coming up on some big numbers? Who's getting close to 50 home runs? Although, I mean, a couple guys have already passed that. Have a 20-game winner. How many guys are going to get 100 RBIs? Heck, who's going to lead the league in stolen bases? Is anybody going to get to 50, 60, 20? Well, I mean, 20 is obviously in play. We've got all that and more coming up on the Bullpen Bulletin here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We're going to have a quick little bit from our sponsors, and we'll dive right into it.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
And welcome back to the Bullpen Bulletin here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And thank you all for tuning in on this lovely Tuesday evening. If you are a fan of the show and you want to follow us on X, please do so for the show page at BP Bulletin _IESR. Also, my two compadres who are normally with us, Ricky, you can follow Ricky K at Rickinator555. He is sort of here with us this evening. We'll see how in just a little bit here. Alden, you can follow at the AZTRL, and yours truly at IESR _DMB. And of course, follow IE Sports Radio on all social media pages and go to the website iesportsradio.com for your latest and greatest in sports news. And without further ado, let's dive right into it with some interesting baseball news in general, starting with a series that was actually nixed this today. The Yankees and Blue Jays were scheduled to have a 2-game series in London for the 2026 regular season. It would have been June 13th and 14th, right before yours truly's birthday. But the team nixed it due to a conflict, a really interesting conflict. It was supposed to be played at West Ham's London Stadium, but due to West Ham starting its Premier League schedule or home schedule on May 24th, they would not be able to convert the field in time. So unfortunately, that got kiboshed. And then attempts to put it later on in the month of June were kiboshed due to the World Cup conflict, it appears. So and that doesn't have to do with London per se. That actually has to do with Fox broadcast and their inability to show the game because all of their slots are filled up with World Cup games in the second half of June. So interesting change. I'm still 50-50 on the international games. The international games where it pertains to like time zone differences, like the games in Mexico, I don't mind because they still fall within your typical United States Eastern time zone to Pacific time zone. You're not particularly off, so it's relatively easy for fans to catch the games. But like Japan completely threw everything off. And it's also the travel for the players. Like imagine you're in the middle of a 162 game season. And you have to, in the middle of that season where you've already been traveling all around the country and to Canada, because it's the Blue Jays as well, now you have to go several time zones out of your comfort zone for a couple of games. And even if they were to give a day off before and a day off after, that you need more time to adjust. It seems unnecessarily taxing on the players to do that in the middle of the season. Now I know the league has done it several times before, but I don't know. I mean, baseball's already such an international sport. There's international leagues. There's the Japanese league. There's the leagues in the Dominican and the Caribbean. So I don't really see the need. Also, I mean, I didn't really take Europe to be much of a baseball area. I mean, soccer, of course. American football, they seem to take too. Tennis, hockey, of course. Basketball. Europeans really big in basketball, but baseball didn't really seem particularly high on the list for the Europeans. So I'm not going to lose sleep over this one. I don't mind that it got nixed. If they were going to do something like this, it would make more sense to do it in the beginning of the season, like what they did with Cubs Dodgers in Japan, although still had mixed feelings about that. What I really had mixed feelings about with the Cubs Dodgers was people taking it as like a sign of how the teams were going to play. Honestly, I did the results didn't matter except for the win-loss records to me, and the Cubs immediately rebounded on that. But yes, so one less international series to worry about, and especially like I said, middle of the season, I'm okay with this one getting bounced. Don't mind the promotion, but come on, guys, let's not make it too chaotic for the Yankees and Blue Jays. And in other major league news, some news surrounding the entirety of the league, according to Commissioner Rob Manfred, the league is nearing broadcast agreements with three major media companies for the 2026 through the 2028 seasons. Looks like they are, and we've known the ESPN package has been in the works with the regular season, and I believe there had been previous rumblings about Netflix getting the All-Star Home Run Derby. But now we also have Comcast NBC Universal is getting on the hook for wild card series and Sunday night regular season games. So the league is making some moves on the broadcasting front. Always good. I mean, as if there are deals to be made, I mean, it can't hurt the league to go out and make money. I would say I'm not a huge fan of the ongoing push to streaming for sports, but I also get it. You know, everybody has streaming nowadays, and especially Netflix. I mean, it's not one of the more random streaming services. I mean, Netflix is one of the services. I don't know very many people who don't have Netflix. I mean, actually, that's a lie. I know a couple of people who kind of jumped ship when they did the whole no longer sharing your passwords and your accounts deal, which makes business sense. But I mean, come on, guys. Do we have to nickel and dime our customers like that? But in any case, good for the league, though, to get some deals locked in and to probably the best thing is to end the uncertainty and get that revenue stream back flowing good. You know, you don't want to leave leave that uncertainty for too long. You definitely want to make sure you get those things locked in. And a side note that Manfred added, there are deals for in-market rights for the Diamondbacks, Guardians, Rockies, Twins, and Padres coming close. So lots of moves happening. He also anticipates a different model for negotiations for starting in 2029. But for now, looks like they're doing their best to lock in 2026 through 2028, which should obviously be the top of their priority. And in news that probably sounds all too familiar to you regular listeners of the show, more injury news, more injury updates. The Astros taking yet another hit. Now, this isn't a new hit because he had missed a good chunk of the season, but it looks like Yordan Alvarez was being described as a pretty significant left ankle sprain, and will be out for a while, which I can only interpret to mean through the postseason. And then the Phillies already getting hit with some injuries, lose another infielder, this time Edmundo Sosa, going on the injured list with a right groin strain. To be determined if this one nixes him for the playoffs. It was a retroactive stint, so we'll see how they manage that situation. But in some good news, some good injury news, Tyreek Skubal of the Tigers looks like he's set to throw a bullpen session and might be back in the starting lineup by the end of the week, which would be great for the Tigers for their postseason push if he is healthy. Anthony Volpe, which, I mean, I'm sure some Yankees fans and some fans around the leagues would debate if this is good news for the Yankees or not, returned to the Yankees lineup, so he is back. And it looks like Bo Bichette had some tests on his sprained left knee that came back. And again, I love using these quotes because you always hear all these vague terms with injuries, but came back okay. So Bichette is okay. I guess he will likely miss the rest of the regular season, but they're hoping that they can get him back for the playoffs, and the Jays will want to make sure that they are as close to full strength as possible for that playoff push. It's almost becoming like Ricky and I discussed, I believe, last week, almost a war of attrition across the league. It might not be who's the best team. It might be who's the healthiest come the playoff race, which is usually the case. But this year it feels a bit more intense. Feels like there's been a few more injuries out there for teams to deal with. But maybe it's just that I might be paying attention a little bit more because of the show. So maybe that is the case. But yes, we'll continue to monitor the injury situations across the league. We do have now 12 days left in the regular season, including tonight. So lots can happen, lots of good, lots of bad can happen in those 12 days. But speaking of tonight, it is Tuesday night, which means we have every team playing across the major leagues and even a double header, which is exciting. Now, I don't know if games were maybe delayed a little bit, or maybe we're just getting a better start than usual, but only one final so far, and that was the first half of the Nationals Braves doubleheader, where the Braves defeated the Nationals 6-3. So that is like I said, that is the only final score. We have a couple of games coming close here. We've got the Cubs are leading the Pirates 4-1. That one in the top of the ninth. However, Pittsburgh is the home team, so they will get to bat in the bottom of the ninth. The Cubs 14 hits in this game, and yet somehow have only managed 4 runs. That that's not the greatest ratio. That's not the ratio you want for sure, but they do still hold the lead nonetheless. The Guardians are leading the Tigers 3-2. That one at the end of the 8th inning as we enter the top of the ninth. Big series there for Cleveland and Detroit. A really good Cleveland stretch might be able to sneak them back into the divisional discussion, but at minimum keep them in the wild card race in the American League. The Athletics are beating the Red Sox 2-1. That one in the bottom of the 8th there. The Mets are leading the Padres. Mets need every win they can get now, and they are pushing well to do so, leading the Padres 8-2. That one in the middle of the 7th. The Orioles are leading the White Sox 6-2 in a game that probably 98% of the league does not care about. That one just finished up the 8th inning. Samuel Basayo with a home run in this one. We have the Blue Jays leading the Rays 6-3. That one in the bottom of the 5th. The Blue Jays continue their push to win the American League East there. The Brewers are beating the Angels 5-1. That one also in the bottom of the 5th. The Yankees are getting their revenge for last night's loss to the Twins. They're leading 10-3. That one in the bottom of the 5th. The Twins have tacked on 2, though, this inning, so maybe they're going to try to make a little push here. Every Yankee in the lineup already has a hit in that one. That one, again, just 5 innings in. The Mariners are beating the Royals 10-1. That one in the top of the 6th as the Mariners continue their playoff push. Cal Raleigh with 2 more home runs tonight, bringing him to 56, as we'll get to him in the milestone marker here in just a few segments. The Cardinals are leading the Reds 3-0. That one is in the top of the 6th. We have the Astros are beating the Rangers 2-0. That one's in the bottom of the 4th. The Astros have runners on 2nd and 3rd with no outs, so looking to do some more damage there. The Marlins are beating the Rockies 3-0. That one in the bottom of the 3rd, again in a game where probably 90% of the league does not care. And the rest of the lineup tonight, we've got the Giants at the Diamondbacks and the Phillies at the Dodgers. That does not necessarily feel like a full slate of games, but maybe it is. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention to it. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yep, 15. Yeah. So yeah, we do have the full slate tonight. So maybe I just blew through them a little bit too well there to really pay attention. And now it is time for our weekly segment, our Who's Hot and Who's Not. And we're going to wrap up the playoff races into this discussion. Why? Well, because the playoff races are the big thing right now. And who's hot and who's not should focus on those teams. Like I said in the intro, if the Rockies are hot right now, which they're not, I don't think anybody would really care. But the Rockies do only need one more win to avoid history. So they just need to win one of their last 12 games to do that. So for who's hot, looking across the league, looks like the top contenders here of the Mariners are an obvious one here. They have won 9 in a row. They have taken over the division lead in the American League West, whereas, well, to be honest, 9 games ago, they were on the verge of losing their wild card spot, and now they are the division leaders. So it's amazing what a week and a half can do in the baseball world when you get on a hot streak. Other teams that are looking pretty hot, the Phillies, 8-2 in their last 10, have officially wrapped up the American League East. To be determined whether they decide to make that push to try to snag the number 1 seed from Milwaukee. They are only a game and a half behind the Brewers, and that would give them home field advantage throughout the playoffs. So that'll be an interesting strategic discussion for the Phillies as they decide how to manage their players for the last 11 games of the season. Certainly not letting up tonight, as we discussed with their score. Where were the Phillies? Oh, wait, no, they haven't played yet. Never mind. Redact that statement. The Brewers are the ones that haven't let up, as they're the ones with the lead. Really, most of the National League not looking super hot, but we'll get there in a second. Other teams looking hot. The Cleveland Guardians have won 4 in a row and are 9-1 in their last 10. They have come within, still not super close to the wild card. They really need a lot more help. They're 3 games back. They have caught the Rangers, but that doesn't really matter because the Rangers are not in a playoff spot. So it looks like the Rangers and the Guardians, probably the last 2 in the American League to potentially challenge, shake up the wild card there. I don't know if the Guardians, unless they take the next couple from the Tigers, might be able to get themselves back into the divisional conversation, but that would still leave them 4.5 back with 10 to play, 10 or 11 games to play. It's just still quite a gap to overcome. But hey, they've made up 4 games in the last 10, so you never know. And then I'll give the Blue Jays a shout out here as well. They are winners of 5 in a row, and they are 7-3 in their last 10. They have grown their divisional lead to 5 games with 12 to play. Fantastic spot to be in. And I believe we covered them in our score review, leading the Rays. So if they keep that up, they'll be in really good shape for down the stretch. And those are really the hottest teams. Texas, I would have put on the list, but they have lost 2 in a row despite winning 7 of the last 10. And the rest of the National League, I only talked about the Phillies. A lot of them doing good, just not great. None of them are going to make the cold. Like the Dodgers are playing okay, won 6 of their last 10. The Padres have won 2 in a row, 6 of their last 10. The Diamondbacks have played their way back into the wild card discussion, winners of 6 of their last 10. So yeah, there's really only one more team to discuss, and that is in the who's cold section. And it feels like they've been cold for the majority of the last 4 months, but you got to put the New York Mets on this list. 2-8 in their last 10. They did get a much needed victory yesterday, and they are on their way to getting a much needed victory today. That will be a big boost to them. That'll put them 78-73. Realistically, that would be 78-73 with 11 games to play. If they went 6-5 to get to 84 wins, that would probably get the job done. I don't foresee the Diamondbacks going 9-2 in their last 11 games here to snatch that spot. So the Mets might be able to just eke their way in. It actually reminds me of the conversation that Ricky and I had last week, where Ricky asked me what I thought of the 6-team playoff. And I thought, well, I mean, you've let some teams with lesser records than normal getting in, but they perform pretty well. The Mets might be the ones to kind of nix that argument, might crush that for me. But, it is what it is. Other teams that I would put in the cold category, the Red Sox, who lost this past weekend series to the Yankees. Not great. They've only won 4 of their last 10. Still have a pretty decent hold on a wild card spot, but it's not looking as great. Houston, I put on this list merely because they lost the division race. So that stinks for them, but overall, they're still holding on there. And then I'm going to put the Royals on here as well. They seems like they had some fight in them for a little bit, but then have only won 4 of their last 10 and are virtually out of the discussion. For those of you keeping track at home, by the way, and might not know, so far we've had Philadelphia, who has clinched the American League East. So that race is set, done, put a bow on it, box it up, and ship it out. And then the Brewers, while they have not clinched their division, they do have a playoff spot locked up. So 2 teams definitely going to the playoffs. 1 division race is done. And there are a couple more division races, like the Brewers in the Central have the 5-game lead. The Blue Jays, as I mentioned, have 5 games. Detroit 6.5. If they can grab one of these games against Cleveland, go 1-1 in the next 2 games, I'm pretty sure that'll just lock it up for them as well. So that's where we stand. And then the Minnesota Twins, Chicago White Sox, Los Angeles Angels, Washington Nationals, Pittsburgh Pirates, and Colorado Rockies have been statistically eliminated from the playoffs, but the St. Louis Cardinals, Atlanta Braves, Miami Marlins in the National League, and then the Athletics, I'll say the Royals and Rays have not mathematically been eliminated, but conceptually have virtually been eliminated from the playoffs. And we got Larry B jumping in the chat room right on cue, as I actually said the Angels for probably the only time I will say their name in this video, as they have been mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. So I summoned Larry B by mentioning his baseball team, which, now that I've said that, will probably prompt a complaint about his baseball team in the next 15 seconds or so. So we'll see how that plays out. That's my prediction there. Now, before we take our first break here, we are going to look ahead to this weekend. And of course, there's going to be very important series almost every weekend, almost every day, the rest of the way. looking ahead, there are not really well, there's one that really, really stands out, and then a couple other ones with some intrigue. And I'm going to start with the one that stands out. And I'm sure if Ricky were here, this would be the one that he would go to immediately because he mentioned that the American League West was one of the playoff races that he was watching very closely over the last few weeks. And this week is no different as we have the Mariners and the Astros, the two teams battling it out for the lead, are facing off against each other. So that should be very good baseball. That game series in Houston, and it starts with Brian Wu against Hunter Brown. So two quality pitchers on that Friday night matchup. On Saturday, it looks like we have George Kirby versus Framber Valdez. So another really good pitching matchup. And then on Sunday, we are lining up Logan Gilbert versus I think that's Jason Alexander. So three really good, really quality pitching matchups this weekend for the Astros and Mariners in what promises to be a critical series. Another one that I'm curious about, Phillies and Diamondbacks, should be a good one. The Phillies obviously have their division locked up, but the Diamondbacks are doing this late charge. So we'll see how strongly they battle this one out. Amazingly, I'm not seeing on the Phillies side none of the Phillies' top guys, no Luzardo, no Sanchez or Suarez in this series. So that may be an opportunity for the Diamondbacks to maybe steal a couple of games. They got Nelson and they've got Zach Gallen. Wait, was it Gallen on Sunday? Let's see. Yeah, Gallen on Sunday. So some intrigue there. And then another series, and of course, this is me being the homer that I am, but the Yankees face off against the Orioles. Now, the Orioles have been a scrappy good team since their bottom out early in the season. Remember, this team was 16-34. Since then, they are 54-46. They are 8 games above 500 in the last 100 games, a 54% win percentage. So this is not a bad baseball team. Now, have they lost to good teams? Yes. But they seem to always play the Yankees really well. And I think even Yankees fans would annoyingly agree to that. So we'll see how they are able to battle it out, and we'll see for the Yankees. Now, I think the playoff spot for the Yankees is pretty well secure, but the positioning, whether they're 4, 5, or 6, could still be in question. So we'll see how that. But the Orioles do put their best foot forward with Trevor Rogers on Friday. Then it's Tomoyuki Sugano against Carlos Rodon. Which Rodon has probably been one of the Yankees' best pitchers, but he did just have actually yesterday's outing wasn't too bad. It's just there was 0 run support, and then the bullpen didn't do great. And then the Orioles then put Kyle Bradish coming off a 1-run start. So they're getting a pretty good footing for the Orioles, and I believe it's a 4-game series as well. So Fried starts it off against K. Povich. Okay, so the Yankees have the clear advantage in that one. But after that gets really good. It's interesting because you have probably the Yankees' 2 best pitchers and the Orioles' 2 best pitchers in this 4-game series, and yet they don't line up at all. So, hey, how about a split? I'll take that. That would be good for me. I would not object to that one. The Guardians and Tigers finish off their series the rest of the week. Any other series? Cubs and Reds, good divisional matchup, and the Reds fighting like heck to keep their playoff hopes alive. So I'm sure they will be battling it out there. And any other good series? Blue Jays and Royals in a very blue series. We'll see if the Royals try to do some last-ditch effort to battle back there. Guardians and Twins, mostly because as the Twins, your opportunity to play spoiler to the Guardians playoffs hopes always has to be intriguing. And then Giants Dodgers, another fun divisional matchup with a team barely clinging on to their playoffs, and the Dodgers, who need to make sure they get their act together before the playoffs. They don't want to be caught slipping as they make it to they'll be playing in the wild card round. I'd be very surprised if the Phillies or Brewers fell off enough to lose that bye. That will do it for the first part of our show. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to touch on our day in baseball history, look at our minor league spotlight, and check on some milestones to watch down the stretch. Do not go away. You are listening to the Bullpen Bulletin here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go. For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back to the Bullpen Bulletin here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We are on to the second part of our show here, and it is time for our Day in Baseball History segment. But we have a special, well, not really a special guest. He's a normal guy, but he couldn't be here live tonight, but he does have a little bit about our day in baseball history. And without further ado, let's pass it over to Ricky K.
What's going on, everybody? Ricky K here for the Bullpen Bulletin, IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all those sports. And as usual on the Bullpen Bulletin, we go over this day in baseball for September 16th. Two things to remember from this date. One, back in 2007, Jim Thome, then of the Chicago White Sox, hits a walk-off home run. You'd think that's normal, walk-off home run-wise, that's significant. That was number 500 of his career. Very rare that you get a milestone home run and be a walk-off, but Jim Thome, who I think most people remember from Cleveland, but did spend some time with the Phillies, the White Sox, was the third player to hit his 500th home run that year. Frank Thomas did it, and Alex Rodriguez did it. And then you also go back to 1998. We all remember Mark McGwire hit his 70-homer season. Sammy Sosa had a great season, too. 66 home runs. He had a go-ahead grand slam that gave him his 63rd of the season. Unfortunately, as you saw kind of when you look at Aaron Judge and his crazy season, sometimes it doesn't exactly translate to postseason success. Sammy Sosa didn't have that either, did not hit a single home run, as the Cubs ended up getting swept by the Braves in that NLDS. Cubs were the wild card that year and were unable to turn Sosa's historic season into something more special and helping them then break the curse that they eventually break years and years and years later. Back to you, Mike.
And that was Ricky K with your day in baseball history. Yeah, 2007, great year for personal milestones in for home runs. Multiple guys hitting their 500th home run. Kind of wild to think about. Of course, Tomei and Rodriguez would go on to break 600 in their career. Thomas would not quite get there, but still a Hall of Fame career for the slugger nonetheless. Now we're going to jump over to our minor league spotlight, minor league baseball spotlight, and I think arguably the biggest spotlight is actually it's not a guy, it's a guy who was called up from the minors this past week. It was Bryce Eldridge, who was called up by the Giants to help in their last second playoff push. The 20-year-old from Fairfax, Virginia, the team's first round pick a couple of years ago. Is now up with the team. So congratulations to him, one of the top 100 prospects in baseball. So he got the call. Also, we discussed last week, Ricky and I, a streak that was going on in the minor leagues with a Pirates pitching prospect by the name of Brandon Bidois, who had pitched 18 he did not allow a hit from July 19th until September 14th, a streak of 18 consecutive hitless innings. Unfortunately, that streak came to an end on September 14th, where he finally gave up the hit, but still a fantastic streak for him. And congratulations to him as he continues his push towards the major leagues in AAA. Also, in a local DMV news, as I'm also the DMV insider, Reed Trimble, one of the Orioles' top 30 prospects, stole his 60th career stolen base in his minor league career. He is now up in AAA. Now, you might think 60 stolen bases, that's good, depending on how long he's been there. He's been there for a few years. So you might think, oh, okay, it's over a couple of years and it's not that impressive. But it becomes more impressive when you take into account that in his entire minor league career, he has never been caught stealing. That's right. Reed Trimble in the Orioles minor league organization is 60 for 60 on stolen bases. Not even the speedy Enrique Bradfield Jr., who's known for stealing bases and being super fast, can tote that. So incredible stuff by Trimble. Where he fits in the Orioles' future plans, I have no idea. But hey, having a guy that's that good on the base paths, it can't be a bad thing. And he hit some home runs too. By the way, speaking of Enrique Bradfield Jr., he hit his first career AAA home run in Norfolk. Actually, it was in Durham, right down the road from me this past weekend. So congratulations to him. Minor league season really wrapping up now, some playoffs going on and some regular seasons finishing up. So not a ton more to talk about, but it has been an exciting minor league season, and a lot of interesting prospects have made their way up through the minors into the majors this year, and it's been really fun to track. Now we are going to jump to a new segment here. Now, last week we discussed the teams kind of pushing towards a couple of weeks ago we talked about teams pushing towards 100 wins or 100 losses. We discussed those milestones. Last week we talked about the races we were going to be paying attention to down the stretch. This week we are looking to milestones and individual statistical milestones for players as we reach the end of the season. And this could be anywhere across the big leagues. And to kick off this segment, we are actually going to send it back to Ricky.
Here for the Bullpen Bulletin and IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. On this segment of the Bullpen Bulletin, we're looking at potential milestones with a couple weeks left in the season. And I thought one thing to look at, we talked about the rarity of the no-hitter this year, something we haven't seen even though we've been a couple outs away multiple times. is the lack of a 20-game winner. Now, the American League, believe it or not, has not had a 20-game winner since Justin Verlander and Garrett Cole both did it with the Astros in 2019. There's not been a 20-game winner in the American League this decade. The National League, at least, has had some recently. Spencer Strider, Kyle Wright, Julio Urias. But this would be back-to-back years that the NL has not had a 20-game winner. The last time that happened was 2019 and 2020. Obviously, there was no chance of 20 wins in 2020 due to the pandemic. But when you look at the wins leaders this season, you got Max Fried with 17 and 30 starts, where I think he could have had a chance at 20 if he didn't have that rough stretch with the blister and just wasn't himself. Garrett Crochet has 16, Freddie Peralta 16, Carlos Rodon 16. Then there's a really big drop-off. At 14, you got Jesus Luzardo, Casey Mize, Logan Webb, Brian Wu, and then 13, you have Matthew Boyd, Sonny Gray, Brandon Pfaadt, who's been terrible on the road. He's got 13 wins in ERA over 5. Nick Pivetta, Quinn Priester, Joe Ryan, Brady Singer, Tarek Skubal has 13, and Christopher Sanchez, who goes tonight for the Phillies. It makes you wonder when we're going to get a 20-game winner again, because you got to keep in mind, if you have 20 wins, you're making at least, in this day and age, probably 33 starts, 34 starts. And even if you have a great game, bullpen could wreck some stuff, because you know these managers, they want to go to the bullpen the second things go wrong because the game is scripted differently. So I just thought you'd take a look at the rarity where you only have had even no 20-game winners this season. In terms of complete games, the only 3 with multiple than one are Tanner Bybee, Nick Lodolo, and Framber Valdez. So you can't even last that long to get the complete games. So when you're thinking about milestones this year, think about potentially no-hitters, which is something we haven't seen in a while, and continually, especially in the American League, this will be the 6th straight season of no 20-game winners. Back to you, Mike.
That was Ricky with his milestone watch. Yeah, no 20-game winner. It's almost guaranteed. Max Fried, the only one with even a remote chance, and he'd have to win 3 starts down the stretch here to make that happen. Now, let's take a look here, because I think we can find Max Fried. So he's made 30 starts so far this year, so great for him, for his durability. He's set to pitch on Friday or Thursday, which would be in the Yankees 100 and probably in the 152nd game here. So, yeah, it's going to be tough for him. He'd have to really get those 3 starts. And also, of course, the Yankees would have to be willing to throw him in those 3 starts in order to make that happen. So I don't know if it's going to happen unless the league makes it go like, hey, Yankees, we really need a 20-game winner. We'll see how it all works out. But let's look through some statistical milestones and see who's where and who might be challenging certain marks down the stretch. So let's start with home runs. As we discussed earlier, Cal Raleigh hit 2 tonight. So he is looking at 56 for his career, or not for his career, for the season. Does he have enough time to maybe get to 60? That would be really interesting. He'd have to have a couple more games like he did tonight, obviously, maybe another 2-run home run game to really get himself close. But that would be fascinating to see him make that. We have Brian Francione jumping in the chat room. Good evening, Brian. Fried has stepped up well for Cole being out. Absolutely. He has done a fantastic job. Also, Larry B asked this question earlier, and I have to answer it for him because it involves his team. To me, looking ahead, it's the Angels and Rockies. I would say is the worst series. 2 teams that are combined 110 and 190. That's pretty darn bad there. So I would say that's my worst series of the week here. But back to the milestones here. But yeah, Raleigh's at 56. Kyle Schwarber has already passed the 50 mark. He's at 53. We have Shohei Ohtani has 49 home runs, so pretty darn close there to getting to 60, or not 60, 50. Aaron Judge is sitting at 48 despite missing a few more games than the rest. I think he'll get to 50 pretty easily. Eugenio Suarez and Junior Caminero sitting at 45 and 44. Those two, I don't think they get to 50, although the fact that they both got into the mid-40s is impressive. Juan Soto sits exactly at 40, and then you have Joe Adell, center fielder for the Angels, is at 36. Does he have enough time to get to 40? That would be a great mark for him to reach as well. And a lot of interesting guys in the 30 home run club as well. Looking down the list, Riley Green of Detroit reaching the 30 home run mark at 34. Nick Kurtz, obviously the rookie from Oakland, or Sacramento, having a phenomenal season. He made it to 30. Taylor Ward made it to 30. Vinny Pasquantino of the Royals, he made it to 30. Hunter Goodman of the Rockies, he's made it to 30. So a lot of really good players getting to 30 home runs. Trent Grisham of the Yankees, who I know has probably been highlighted for his poor defense, making it to 30 as well. Let's jump over to hits. Hits is always a good mark to see. Who's leading in hits? So Bo Bichette is the current leader in hits with 181. Obviously, as we discussed earlier with his injury, he will not be adding any more to that tally. Trey Turner second with 179. He will not be adding any more to that tally. Joey Jets jumping in the chat. Yankees better not blow this game. And I did notice that it's now 10-7. So that's the Yankees starting to sweat a little bit with that one. I don't mind. I don't mind watching the Yankees sweat a little bit. And then you got a handful of guys in the 160s, but no real major, nobody's getting to 200 hits unless, some of these guys just go on absolute tears in the last dozen or so games. Nobody's getting to 200 hits, which is a little bit of a disappointing stat, but it is what it is. In terms of doubles, which is always a number I like to look at, once again, Bo Bichette leading in doubles. He's not going to go anywhere. Bobby Witt might pass him. He's got 41 with the Royals, and then Brent Rooker's got 40. Freddie Freeman has 39 as he continues his chase. If those of you who watched the show a few weeks back, we discussed his race up the all-time doubles list that he continues to push. So I'm hoping that he gets a few more there as well. Triples, really interesting statistic. Not a lot of guys get really high in triples, although Corbin Carroll has 16 on the season, so he's the leader, and I imagine he will stay there. Jarren Duran for the Red Sox, he's second with 13, and then a handful of guys with double digits, including a name that I know everybody predicted would have double-digit triples with 10. Dalen Lyle of the Washington Nationals. Of course, everybody knew he was going to hit double-digit triples entering the season. RBI, a lot of guys have eclipsed the 100 RBI mark, 9 to be exact. Kyle Schwarber, Pete Alonso, Cal Raleigh, Eugenio Suarez, Riley Green, Junior Caminero, Vinny Pasquantino, Aaron Judge, and Rafael Devers. Taylor Ward, Juan Soto are at 98, really close to pushing the 100 mark. And then there's another handful or so that are in the 90s that you think with a really strong push they could get to that 100 mark. Always great to throw 100 RBIs out there. And that is really it for the major statistical categories. Who's leading the league in strikeouts? That would be James Wood of the Washington Nationals. That's why I brought that one up. Oh, stolen bases. I was going to look at stolen bases to see who's leading the way there, and that would be Jose Caballero of the Yankees. He has 46. Wonder if he can get to 50 in the last dozen games. That would be a great mark to reach. Chandler Simpson of the Tampa Bay Rays, he has 40 stolen bases, but in only 100 games. So you got to wonder what he can do with a full season. And then Jose Ramirez and O'Neal Cruz both have 38. They could push for 40. Bobby Witt Jr. has 36. He could push for 40. Same with Pete Crow Armstrong and Ellie De La Cruz. Moving over to the pitching statistics, because this is always great. Obviously, as Ricky noted, nobody's going to get to 20 wins. I'm just going to go ahead and call that now. Trevor Story is in the 30 for 30 in stolen bases. That's a great statistic for him. It's great when you're not getting caught stealing. I think that's the key to a good base stealer. You could steal 70 times, but if you get caught a bunch too, then you're giving the team free outs. I would rather have fewer steals with a better percentage where you're just not giving the opposing team free outs. But I digress. But that's a great stat there, Brian. That Trevor Story's 30 for 30. Looking across at other pitching statistics, this is one I always like to see. 200 innings. It's becoming rarer and rarer across the league for players to go 200 innings. It used to be very common for them to go 200, 250 was not unheard of. Obviously, if you go way back, eclipsing 300, 400 was not uncommon way back in the day. But, as long ago as 2000, in the mid 2000s, 250 was a great mark to get to for pitchers. And nowadays, it's very rare for them to go 200. I mean, you think if a guy goes 34 starts and averages 6 innings, that's 204. So you imagine, going 250 would be great. Actually, let's look at that. Let's just go back. Let's go back to a random season. Let's say 2014. David Price of the Detroit Tigers / Tampa Bay Rays threw 248 innings. In fact, that year, good Lord, a lot of guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, dozens of players threw 200 innings. This year, let's go to last year, for example. Last year, 4 guys threw 200 innings. Logan Gilbert, Seth Lugo, Logan Webb, and Zach Wheeler. This year, so far, nobody's made it yet. Garrett Crochet's at 191. If he gets 2 more starts, he's going to get there, which I think he will at least. Logan Webb is at 188.2. If he has 2 more starts, I think he gets there. Everybody else, I mean, Skubal, they're probably going to be gentle with him. He might make 2 more starts. He has 183 innings. I don't think he gets 16 2/3 innings in 2 starts. I really don't think that's going to happen. So Scubal's not going to get it. Rodon needs 17 2/3. He probably has 2 more starts. Don't think that's going to happen. Christopher Sanchez needs 17 2/3. And again, unless these guys are getting 3 starts down the stretch, they don't really have a chance. Brian Wu has 181.2. Paul Skeens has 181.2. He's probably not going to get 3 more starts. Max Fried, 181.1. He's not going to get 3 more starts, as we discussed. So, yeah, you're talking, you might only have 2 200-inning pitchers. In addition to Ricky's stat about the wins. That's just absurd to think about. And one more stat on the pitching side, strikeouts. Garrett Crochet leads with 240. I think is going to hold that mark. I think he breaks 250, which would be a great stat. Last year's leader in Ks was Skubal at 228. So Crochet has broken that mark. One more stat I wanted to look at. Saves. Let's see who's leading in saves here. Carlos Estevez of the Royals has 39. I think he'll get to 40 there. I think he's got a pretty good shot. Robert Suarez of the Padres has 38. I think he can get to 40. I don't think anybody else is getting to 40. Handful of guys have 30. Joan Duran, Jeff Hoffman, Aroldis Chapman, guys like that. A couple of guys might get there. Josh Hader of the Astros could get to 30. Kenley Jansen of the Angels, maybe not, depending on the Angels. So not a ton of big save numbers either across the league this year. And one final stat before we wrap it up here, and I clicked away from the stats. So I was going to look at fielding, and I was going to see who our error leaders were across the league. And that's more just a fun stat for me. So, unfortunately, the way ESPN does it is you have to go to each individual position. Manny Machado leads all third basemen with 16 errors. That's fascinating to see. But he also makes a lot of plays. Ellie De La Cruz leads all shortstops in errors with 23. Right behind him is CJ Abrams at 21. Let's see. And it looks like De La Cruz is your leader in errors with 23. So we shall see how he wraps up the season with errors. So those are your milestones to watch. We'll see if these guys can achieve some more personal statistical goals the rest of the way. Next week, we're going to look at maybe some guesses on final season awards, Cy Youngs, MVPs, Rookie of the Years, Managers of the Year, things like that. But for now, we're going to wrap it up with our Around the Diamond segment, which is going to be a really quick segment because there's only going around to me. I'll use this opportunity to talk a little bit about Nationals and Orioles baseball. Man, has it been a rough year. But, the Orioles, I'll give them credit. They're still showing some fight, which is great to see. It's great to see some of the young guys getting more playing time and continue to battle it out here. The Nationals are a completely directionless franchise right now. I have no idea how they are going to approach this offseason, but we shall see. As long as they can at least pick a direction, I am sure that will be, helpful. But, do you hit a reset button at this point? If you're the Nationals, do you maybe, deal some guys that are coming up on ends of team control? Guys like Mackenzie Gore, who you might have been better off trading at the trade deadline, where he would have gotten a return before he got hurt and had a somewhat ineffective second half of the season. Do you even have the guys to try to turn it around? Do you have the pitching to come up from the minors? I don't know. You've got Brad Lord, who's pretty good. He's a young guy. You've got your bullpen's an absolute mess. Your hitters completely gave up, some of them midway through the season. I don't know. I don't know what direction the Nats go in. It's going to be really tough. There's going to be lots of changes, I have a feeling, in DC. Baltimore, I think, is on the right path-ish. I think there are a couple of moves that they need to make, but if they can make them and they need to stop bargain bin diving, they need to actually go get actual help for the pitching rotation. I think the hitting will be fine, as evidenced by the 8 runs that they put up against the White Sox. Yes, I know it's the White Sox, but they still got to score the runs. By the way, Dylan Beavers with a triple and a home run tonight, so very productive night for him. But the Orioles, I think, are headed in the right direction, so that's good to see. That will do it for tonight's show. Thank you to everybody who tuned in. Thank you to Larry B, Brian Francione, and Joey Jets. Joey Jets also learned this comment. Trent Grisham has been a beast this year. He's gotten wrapped up, I think, in some of the defensive woes of the Yankees. I think people have highlighted him for that. But I agree. He's had a very good season. He's one of the players that have kind of kept the Yankees upright here down the stretch. Some more scores that have gone final here. The Cubs finished off the Pirates 4-1. Cleveland and Detroit went to 10, but Cleveland came away with the victory 7-5. Big win for them. The Athletics finished off Boston 2-1, and the Mets, like I said, very beautiful game for them to win San Diego 8-3. That Yankees game 10-8 gets really exciting in Minnesota. We'll be back next week for baseball, more playoff push. Reminder, if you are a fan of the show, you follow us on social media. On X, you can follow us at Bulletin_ISR. You can follow me, yours truly, at IESR_DMV. You can follow Alden at DAZPRL and Ricky at Brickinator555. And to follow IE Sports Radio on all social media platforms and check out the website, IESportsRadio.com. Once again, thank you all for tuning in. This has been Mike Patt for the Bullpen Bulletin here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Have a great week. We'll see you next time.